Welcome to the Great Lakes Fishing Podcast. We're joined today by Ernesto Amparan from Fishing with Ernesto on TikTok. He is Big Water Fishing with Ernesto on YouTube and also Thin Blue Line Fishing. Ernesto, thanks for joining the show today.
Oh, it's a pleasure.
So I met you today, actually. Well, no, last night. Fishing with Chris Ingalls out of Manistee. And it was really fun being on the boat with you and the other group of guys today. It was just it was good fellowship, a lot of good times, and a lot of laughs, and a lot of fun. Can you talk to us a little bit about the day fishing today from your perspective?
Yeah, so I mean, absolute phenomenal day. You know, anytime you get to get on the water, especially with a group of guys who share the same passion, I mean, it's going to be a great day. Whether we're catching fish or not, you know, just having good company is always a great time. The benefit of today is we actually had a lot of fish on. We caught plenty of fish, and that made the day even better.
You run a boat out of Chicago, is that right?
I do.
Okay. Tell me a little bit about how this Manistee port compares to where your home waters.
Well, I've been fishing the Lake Michigan, the Chicago end, since I was basically 3 years old. I grew up fishing there with my dad. I'll be honest, this was some of the best fishing, you know, in one day that I've experienced catching these big kings in many of the years I fished on the Chicago side. I'm not saying that we don't have big kings over there, but just, I mean, over here it's like every fish was going to be probably a king. We had some cohos on there, but you know, it was like you hear that drag screaming, you see those big hits, and you automatically know that's a big king.
When we were pulling out of port this morning, one of the things you guys are saying is it's a lot different pulling out without the light pollution. It's just a different surroundings here too.
You know what, Chicago, it's a beautiful city. You know, having that backdrop with all the skyline and that light. I mean, it's an experience in itself. Just being out there. You know, out here, I was looking on both ends, and I was like, oh wow, you know, I seen lights, and at first I thought it was just shore lights, but it ended up being other boats out there. So it's extremely dark out here, and I was surprised to see Chris going, you know, 18, 19 miles an hour in pitch black. You know, I was scared for myself, but no, I mean, Chris is a phenomenal captain. You know, obviously he has his maps and, you know, his you know, everything he needs. So yeah, it was a good time.
Yeah, the radar comes in handy in those
Absolutely.
situations. You can see everything that way. Just tell me a little bit about you, your background and what you're all about.
So, like as I mentioned, I grew up fishing as I was a kid. My dad would, you know, bring us on the lake. We'd go fishing from shore, catching kings. He also was a bass fisherman as well. So I had a mixture of, you know, inland fishing and then fishing the Great Lakes. So that's where my passion developed. You know, just being able to go out with my dad, experience those, you know, those fish and fighting them and the excitement and the joy. So that's how I got into fishing. My passion obviously grew. At one point, I wanted to have my own fishing talk show. That was a little out of reach, so I was like, you know what, I'll go ahead and be a charter captain. So got my charter captain license about 4 years ago. Started my fishing business about 4 years ago during COVID. It happened to be a really good time because people obviously wanted to get out and experience the outdoors. So and I was offering, you know, to take people out. So my business obviously bloomed during that time, and it continued to grow.
I get a chance to fish with a lot of different charter captains, and one of the things that I've learned from the really, really good charter captains is they like to fish with other charter captains. They like to see how other captains run their program, what they do, and you know, they do their thing the way they do it for a reason. They like it, but it seems like they always like to steal just a little something here, maybe a little something there. Was there something today that you saw Chris or his first mate Tim do that you went, boy, that's something that I can take home with me and use to catch more fish?
Oh yeah, absolutely. You know, obviously I like to go out with, I mean, I hire guides myself to take me out. One, you know, you get to see where they're going to fish, how they're setting up their programs. And then today, I don't ever use meat rigs. I have the equipment for it, but it's just something I never put into my program. today I seen Chris running multiple rods with meat rigs, and I mean, now it made me a believer as how good they actually work. I mean, they were probably catching, for every one on a plug, they were probably getting 2 on the meat rig. So that's something I'm definitely going to try to incorporate in my program when I take my customers out.
The T-shirt you're wearing says Thin Blue Line Fishing. That's your charter. Tell me about the name and how you came up with that name.
Well, so the name, it comes from a first responder, I guess, saying. So obviously I'm a first responder. I've been a police officer going on 22 years. I did a short retirement, and I came out of retirement because I missed a job. So to me, the Thin Blue Line, it's basically, the protector from good or from bad, and the line from good and evil. So that's where, and actually, I would like to take credit for coming up with the name, but we were actually brainstorming. It was me and a couple other fellow coworkers. We were sitting down having lunch, and I told them, I was like, hey, I'm going to be starting a charter business. And one of my coworkers, Samantha, she's like, how does Thin Blue Line Fishing sound? And I was like, oh, I'm sold. I'm like, that's it. That's going to be the name. After I submitted all the paperwork, got it, approved by the state, got my LLC and all that good stuff. One of my buddies messages me later, and he's like, what would have been even a better name? I was like, what's that? He's like, Thin Blue Line Fishing. I was like, oh, okay, yeah. But no, it's she obviously gave me the idea to name this, and I'm glad I did.
You were recently featured on WGN News about a special project you have going on. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, so obviously coming from a law enforcement background, I've experienced, the toll it could take on an officer's mental wellness, from being hurt on the job to injury, from working long hours to, seeing people killed, kids killed, officers injured, shot, also killed, and officers taking their own lives. That's something that it's starting to finally come out, like the stress and the PTSD that the officers deal with. Not just only police officers, but first responder, firefighters, military and stuff like that. But I started doing an initiative, which this year was the first year, where we're going to be taking out first responders free of charge and no cost to them, just to get them on the water to experience, what we experience on a daily basis, going out there, enjoying the water, having a good time, fishing, and just help try to relieve the stresses that they're going through. So that's something that I'm going to try. I want to do at least one event a year, hopefully 2, but obviously we got to get sponsors and stuff like that to help, because I only have one boat that I'm able to operate, so need to help cover the cost for other charter boats to participate and get these first responders out on the water and just have a good time and let them know that they're not forgotten.
If somebody wants to help you out with that, how would they get in touch with you?
So I have partnered with the Chicago Police Knights Baseball Club, which is a non-for-profit organization itself, all first responders as well. So if they're looking to help out or donate, they could either reach out directly to me. I could give them the link where they could help sponsor or donate or contribute in any way to these events that we plan in the future. The next one we have planned, it's going to be in May of 2025. We already started collecting donations and sponsors for that event right there. And the goal is to have at least 10 boats where we can take out about 60 first responders.
Very cool. Anything I didn't ask you today that you wanted to talk about?
Oh, you know what? I'm just glad the opportunity presented itself. I obviously social media has a big impact, and I started reaching out to other YouTubers and people who are into social media and just trying to bring us all together from different parts of the lake to help build network and just bring people closer together and just share stories and go out there and fish.
All right, very good. If people want to find you online, again, throw those handles out there. Where can they find you?
So Thin Blue Line Fishing LLC in Chicago. My cell phone number is 708-663-2467. I am out of Montrose Harbor in Chicago. My season, I run my season all the way on my larger boat. I run it all the way until the end of October, and then I start taking on my smaller boat, which I run, until December. So, if you were looking to go out fishing, you can find me Thin Blue Line Fishing LLC.
And on YouTube and TikTok, where can I find you there?
YouTube, it's Big Water Fishing LLC, and then on TikTok, it's Fishing with Ernesto.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chris.